Good morning guys. Happy New Year once again. Hope everyone is doing good. And today we gonna discuss about new upcoming gaming title. Maybe working, Death Stranding 2, including its all news and reveals related to game release date and rumors now so far. Let's roll. Death Stranding offered up a unique melange of gameplay systems and storytelling, and has attracted a cult following in the years since its release. Now, a sequel is on the way from Kojima Productions. Following months of interviews, rumors, and cryptic tweets, veteran game director HIDEO Kojima revealed the next gaming release from his production studio, KOJIMA Productions, at the Game Awards 2022. While it doesn't come as a surprise, the official world premiere of Death Stranding 2 still surprised many. Given reports of other gaming releases planned or in development by Kojima, it is currently unknown when gamers will finally get their hands on Death Stranding 2. But if an artist's resume is anything to go by, it could be sooner than we thought. In typical Kojima fashion, the game's reveal was very cryptic. It didn't provide much detail about the game's story, causing many fans to speculate about what's next for post-apocalyptic courier Sam Porter Bridges and company. The Death Stranding sequel's announcement didn't come with a release date and doesn't even have an official title. Death Stranding 2 is apparently just a working title. While many of the game's finer details are still yet to be revealed, fans might have just been given a huge clue regarding the planned release window for Death Stranding 2. Thanks to game artist Frank Aliberti. According to Aliberti's ArtStation page, he served as the senior artist for Death Stranding 2, and along with it as credit, he also posted a future release window that has everyone wondering if it's legitimate. Currently, there's no official release date for Death Stranding 2, but a recent leak suggests that the game is going to be released sometime in 2024, as covered by Twisted Voxel. The ArtStation page of Frank Aliberti, a senior artist working with Kojima Productions, has apparently listed 2024 as the launch date for Death Stranding 2. The artist's official profile confirms a 2024 release window. This marks the second time in 2022 that a release date for a PlayStation exclusive has been leaked by a developer. Earlier in December 2022, the release date for Insomniac's Marvel's Spider-Man 2 was also leaked as fall 2023. A few days later, the studio confirmed that they were aiming for a fall 2023 window. Death Stranding 2 appears to have fallen victim to this mishap as well. Kojima Productions is yet to comment on this development, but as it appears, 2024 is what you should be looking forward to. This leak strongly coincides with our original prediction of the game launching in 2024. Kojima wouldn't have announced the title at the Game Awards 2022 unless the expected release date was fairly near. So it's just about a done deal that somewhere between early to mid 2024 is when we'll be delivering packages again. In the reveal trailer for the game, and as can be seen in the official tweets made by Kojima Productions, the label working title can be spotted. It's definitely been some years since the Strand sequel has been in development, but we think it shouldn't take more than a year to complete. Also, by taking what Norman Reedus said into account in the interview with Leo about them starting the second game right after the original, and the fact that it's been over 3 years since the first game came out, one can judge that Death Stranding 2's development should be approaching its finish line. The original Death Stranding proved to be a divisive game, with some praising it as one of Kojima's best games to date, and others criticizing its gameplay and pacing. Considering the reception to the original Death Stranding, it will definitely be interesting to see how people react to Death Stranding 2 when it comes out. At the time of this video, little is known about what Death Stranding 2 will bring to the table. The Death Stranding 2 announcement trailer that was shown at the Game Awards confirmed some members of the cast and hinted at potential story developments, but much of the game remains shrouded in mystery. If the original game is any indication, it's likely that Death Stranding 2 will keep most of its secrets under wraps until gamers are able to play it for themselves. Unfortunately for anyone who had hoped they would get to play the game this new year, it seems that Death Stranding 2 won't be out until 2024. As revealed by the ArtStation profile of character artist Frank Aliberti, which has since been updated, Death Stranding 2 is planning on a 2024 release window. This is not set in stone, of course, but it could be a good idea of when Kojima Productions expects it will finish development on the game. If Death Stranding 2 is out in 2024 as rumored, that would make it 5 years removed from when the original Death Stranding launched in 2019. 5 years is quite a long time between games, but Kojima Productions has helped fill that gap with Death Stranding re-releases. First, this included a Death Stranding PC port in 2020, and then Death Stranding Director's Cut for PC and PS5 that added substantial new content for fans of the game to check out. As noticed by Resetera user Angie Aliberti, at one point had Death Stranding 2 on his ArtStation portfolio. Along with the game's title and the role he had in its development, Aliberti lists the release window for Death Stranding 2 as being at at some point in 2024. This is notable because to this point, Sony and Kojima have not disclosed a scheduled release date for the Death Stranding sequel. Later on, Aliberti removed Death Stranding 2 from his ArtStation page, according to Eurogamer. This was done in response to the massive attention the credit received. Another big part of Death Stranding 2's announcement is that it's going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive, at least at launch anyway. We'd imagine that it will come to PC more quickly than the long process required for the first Death Stranding. But for now it's only the PlayStation 5 that has been confirmed as a launch platform for the game. Kojima recently announced that he's working on a game in partnership with Xbox and Microsoft, but we don't know what that is yet. It's quite likely that Death Stranding 2 will eventually make its way to PC as well, but at launch, it's expected to be a PlayStation 5 console exclusive game. Microsoft has suggested that Death Stranding can't come to Xbox at all due to a deal between Kojima Productions and PlayStation, so anyone interested will need to have a PC that can run it, or will want to invest in a PS5 console. With the first Death Stranding 2 trailer out, hopefully more will come in this new year. And perhaps one of those trailers will give fans a more specific release date for the game. There will most certainly be a Death Stranding 2 PC port, although it won't be coming anytime soon after the game's release. The PC port for Death Stranding launched on Steam about 7 months after its so-called addition to the PS4 exclusives roster. The likely scenario will possibly be that Sony will make the Part 2 PC port available after a gap of a year or so from its PS5 launch date. If you've been keeping tabs on Sony since the PS5 became available, you'll see that the PC market has piqued their interest. They've been on a roll with announcing PC versions of almost every game at their disposal, and that's a smart move as we all know the PC market is home to a tremendous amount of gamers. The official announcement for Death Stranding 2 wasn't the only showing by Sony at the Game Awards 2022. In the pre-show event, it was also revealed that Returnal 2 was heading to PC. This confirmed the already long-standing rumors ignited by a leak about its imminent PC port. Along with Returnal's early 2023 release window, Sony also confirmed The Last of Us Part 1 remake will be released for PC on March 3, 2023. First, Sony was only releasing their years-old first-party games on PC, but now they're even releasing some of their newly developed titles within the span of a year for PC, adding even more basis for a Death Stranding 2 PC port. Most recently with the release of the Spider-Man remastered PC port, came cause for speculation about an original Sony PC store. Some files of the port had the name PlayStation Store Launcher on them, though that might not be enough evidence to affirm such a case. It's viable that Sony is in fact working on its own competitor for Steam, and Death Stranding 2 might just so happen to be a store exclusive, if that in time does come to fruition. Death Stranding's gameplay was divisive on release, meditative and careful in the eyes of some, but confusing and a little frustrating for others. If its sequel follows the same template, we'll again be moving cargo across long distances, using a variety of traversal options, from on-foot hiking to vehicles. Given the theme of the first game was all about making new connections between locations, you might think we'll be doing more of the same. But the first trailer for Death Stranding 2 is ominous, ending with the question of whether we should have connected at all. We wonder if the next game will feature some sort of departure on this side of things. We'd still expect that travel will be the main mechanic, though, alongside the interesting combat encounters that cropped up throughout Death Stranding. Regarding gameplay, it's possible that Death Stranding 2 might have Louise as a playable deuteragonist. There's also a chance she'll be a supporting NPC, possibly similar to how Atreus behaves during both key gameplay and story elements in God of War. That'd be an epic addition, as that'll mean carrying stuff will be easier. Nonetheless, it'd be better if Louise was a totally separate playable character from Sam, although we would have initially said that she might be the only playable character in Death Stranding 2. Sam has been confirmed to return, and there's the tiny problem of Louise still being an infant. Well, at least in the trailer. The first Death Stranding had a plot that could be pretty hard to follow, and ended with some ambiguities. That's a bit of an understatement. At the end of the last game, our hero Sam went off-grid to live with his BB, now named Louise, while allies like Die Hardman and Fragile found new purposes. It looks from the first trailer like he'll be dragged back into the mix again. Though older and more haggard, Fragile is back and seems to be a mother now, while Troy Baker is back as a villainous-looking guy who could be related in some way to Higgs from the last game. Honestly, at this stage it's hard to guess too much, and Kojima will definitely want it that way on purpose. We finally understand Kojima's cryptic tweets. The studio had been tight-lipped about any new announcements and had only been retweeting cryptic images shared by HIDEO Kojima. For many months Kojima-san had been spreading images on Twitter containing silhouettes of unidentified people. With time he revealed them to be Elle Fanning and Shioli Kitsuna, both of whom are members of the cast of Death Stranding 2. Who am I? Where am I? And why me? Were the statements that stood as some sort of code. Even if most didn't figure it out, the cat's out of the bag now, so we know the answer: Death Stranding 2. The first glimpse of Kojima's Death Stranding universe was at E3 2016. That's right after HIDEO parted ways with Konami. Just when Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain was fresh out of the oven. Kojima also won the Industry Icon Award at the Game Awards that year, so hype for his next project was through the roof. You know how that ended though. Death Stranding's reception was a hodgepodge of reviews calling it generation-defining or utterly irredeemable. That aside, most news outlets report the game has now sold over 5 million copies. That's in total from its PS4, PS5, and PC sales. The official Twitter account later posted that over 10 million porters have been connected in the game. Our guess would be that sales might lie somewhere between 5 to 7 million, but due to the PlayStation Plus availability that number appears to be 10 million. And that in the end mattered, as Sony was able to generate enough profit to even give the go-ahead for Death Stranding 2. It's no secret that Death Stranding's giant sandbox world didn't feature the best gameplay, but what the game lacked in technique was reimbursed through its praiseworthy narrative. There are endless ways Kojima and the team can take the story next, and considering Death Stranding's chronicle so far, we imagine none being that straightforward. Near its end, Death Stranding's plot had become an overly clustered array of strings. It also concluded some characters' storylines abruptly, so hopefully the sequel gives them a proper send-off. Kojima is known for his eccentric takes, and his Strand-type game couldn't have set any better of an example. Although, before we dig into some hefty amount of speculation, we'll need to dissect the trailer for Death Stranding 2 first. The trailer opens with some stunning shots of a child's toys, which we are going to presume belong to Louise. Then there's some sort of a big mecha drone moving in the sand. We get to see the Decima engine logo, and it further added confirmation to the trailer belonging to Death Stranding 2 during the moment. Next, we have some porters moving towards a chiral gate. We finally get a shot of Louise, who's still an infant, being held by Fragile. Their heartwarming period of affection, however, is cut short when an assailant breaks into the bunker. While it might just be us, we are pretty sure Fragile had some aging marks on her skin due to the time fall, and they aren't very noticeable here, so something might be up with that. Anyhow, Fragile and Baby Lou try to make their escape on a quirky one-wheel bike, but they're soon shot down, and the trailer cuts to wreckage everywhere, with Fragile desperately trying to reach Louise. It's possible that the bike will be one of many new vehicles in Death Stranding 2. Of course, despite Aliberti's ArtStation resume listing Death Stranding 2 as being pegged for release in 2024, it goes without saying that video game development is an extremely fluid process with timelines and deadlines in a constant state of flux. This is especially true when it comes to a game still in active development. Even if 2024 is indeed the target for both Sony and Kojima, it is far from official, and could still fall victim to a litany of potential mishaps that could result in a delay. However, that's likely not gonna thwart any eager gamer looking forward to the next chapter of Sam Porter Bridges' story, who will surely have their eyes peeled as 2024 draws closer.